I'm here in Denver, mid-August 2024 for the ConnectWise Big IT Nation Evolve and Grow event. I'll be doing interviews this whole week with managed service providers that are here and with vendors and with ConnectWise staff and ConnectWise leadership. Hope to gain some insight on the happenings that are going on. Also great insight from the managed service providers. But the following interview will be from this event here in Denver. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. So we're here in Denver, Q3, August, and it's Evolve, it's Grow, it's a great event. You know these events from your long history. What's your goal here?
Yeah, we're here to meet great businesses. Evolve has a long track record of doing great things to help businesses grow. I think Service Leadership Index being a key part of that. And what they've done with Sleek and looking at operational maturity, you find that MSPs and IT service providers that get involved with Evolve tend to be in that like top 5% of the highest performing, best businesses from qualitative to quantitative metrics. And for Evergreen, this is a great place for us to be to meet people.
So you were at ConnectWise for how many years?
I was at ConnectWise 16 years.
And you were there at the beginning with Arnie.
Yeah. I think what a lot of people don't know is I started at the MSP. So
That's right.
David Bellini hired me in. I was a tech. Before that, I was trying to do my own thing. I had all the certifications and a couple big projects, and I thought it could turn into a business. And at that time, that's when the economy started to look not so good. And I met David, and I joined the MSP and was working in there as a field engineer / hybrid account manager and using the software. And I got pretty vocal about it. I ended up meeting Arnie, and after 2 years at the MSP, joined the software side. And at the time, I think it was about 75 people. So it was great to be a part of that movement, watch so many IT businesses transform into managed services, to see software go from on-prem to private cloud to public cloud, to see the emergence of SaaS, to watch this industry mature. Like, it's great to now be here and see the businesses I met, 20 years ago that were, 5 people. They're now 50, and they're looking to sell their business, and they're going to have a big financial reward for that. And it's exciting to see.
Yeah, the evolution that you have witnessed is absolutely incredible. From the owl's eye, I don't know. From behind the scenes. I mean, so when you made that transition from because ConnectWise was an MSP at first, and to, like you say, the software side, were there many former MSPs there?
No, in those early days, you mean inside of working in the software side?
Yeah.
No, in those days, when I made the transition from the MSP to the software, I think I was the only person that had actually worked in an MSP and worked it, but there was a couple others. There was Marbeth Wycliffe. A lot of people know her from the original days. I think I was the only tech, but there was a few others. I think that's what made ConnectWise so unique was, we had that message, we are you, because the MSP helped build the PSA. And, one of the first tasks I really loved when I made that transition was, watching Arnie's mind at work. And he said, we need to build a system that when we show it to people, it looks like every day, right? The data in the system should tell a story on its own and tell the demo. So as soon as I transitioned over, the first project we did for about 6 months was build out a database of relevant, real scenarios. Like I was building projects on Exchange server migrations, like that looked real. And so when we could show the software to people, they'd say, hey, I deal with that every day too. And you get me, you understand what I'm dealing with. The examples we were showing people were things they were dealing with, and that helped us connect. And then, that led to, defining like what's the best practice for running an MSP. We wrote this Path to Success series from that, and blueprints and job descriptions, and it was fun to like be a part of shaping this thing. I think a lot of people go their whole lives and never get to experience that, and I feel so grateful to have been a part of that. It was fun.
Back then, Greg, did you think that it would, be this company that, that PE acquired for such a large amount,
No.
tens of thousands of employees?
Yeah. No, I never thought. I just thought, wow, like a year ago, I was fixing computers at small businesses and inside the company. And now here I am going to user groups, traveling the world, teaching people how to use the system. And I'm meeting all these cool, fun people. This is great. I never imagined, but it did start to feel serious when you saw investments of large capital coming into the industry. Like when you saw the first big software companies getting acquired, you saw this new maturity happen. And then when you saw that get down into the MSPs itself, it was like, okay, we all just grew up real quick. And I think it's great because, that journey I had at ConnectWise, I would say the first 5 years, being out there, visiting MSPs, doing the user groups, meeting so many people, and seeing the efforts they were putting in to keep their business going. There were so many times I'd have conversations late at night, people saying, man, I'm worried about, am I going to be able to make payroll? How am I going to do this? I'm afraid to switch to managed services. Like, what if I lose everything going to this all you can eat? Like I'm scared. And people worked through that, and it's exciting now that they're able to make 8 figures payouts on this stuff and get the rewards. And one of the reasons I really love where I'm at now is we preserve that. That's what really drew me in the role I'm in now is, we preserve the brand and the teams, and that means a lot to me, having watched those people do that. I don't want to see that go away. So yeah.
And I talked to some MSPs who've been around for a long time, and they'll say things like, well, Arnie did our installation.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just incredible. Were you ever on installations?
I did. So yeah, when I switched to the software side, Arnie had this thing where everybody had to walk a path. And I think there's something to be said that, especially if anyone's thinking about going on a career of product management, you want to be a successful product manager, you should understand what it takes to support your product. So, we walked this 6 months, worked in support, and then implemented the product. So from there, I spent a couple years, implementing the product, training on it at user groups. So I really understood why people use PSA, not what they use it for and how they use it. Understanding the why is key, right? Because people would say, I have patch management because I need to keep the systems patched and current. And it's like, yeah, that's the what. Why are they doing it? Well, they're doing that because, patch systems require less work. People call into the help desk less when everything's kept up to date. Therefore, your managed services is more profitable, right? That's the why. Patching leads to more profitable managed services. And And I think, and Arnie was really smart with that. And, I think Arnie doing implementations himself and doing support himself and entering his time himself. I mean, he really did everything he said. He was, preaching out there, and the concepts of paint tomorrow green, and it's not ConnectWise, it didn't happen, and get your time in on time all the time. Like, we had those sayings. I think it's important when, these solution providers that are out there, you got to walk that path, get down in with the MSPs. We would, I thought it was so great for a couple of years there. I would visit MSPs, and I call it stalking. I would just kind of sit in a corner and just observe, like, watch how people work. There was no agenda. It was like, and you start, hey, why did you click that button? Like, we designed this for you to click the new ticket button and then go from there. And why'd you do it from an asset search? Well, if I do it from an asset search, it pre-configures all this stuff for me. And then you start learning, like, wait a minute, these techs want the least amount of administrative work possible so they could focus on what they love, which is technology and helping people. And like, that became like how to develop the product. And I think that's what set ConnectWise aside or apart from everybody else, was understanding that, right? Like, there were times, I'm doing a user group in Vancouver, and it's like, I think 2010, and Matt Dryfout of Scout Technology Guide stands up, and it's like, I'm billing by user. And everyone looked at him like he was crazy. And we're like, why? And he's like, yeah, because when I bill by user, it's easier to keep track of than all these devices that are coming and going. And it's easier to get paid on that invoice, because when a customer gets the invoice and they see names of people, they can't really argue that. Like, can you not support Joe and Craig here? And we learned that, and we took it back, and we implemented it in the product, and we understood, like, the psychology of the invoice and what makes people pay it better, and we learned from that. It was just so cool to, like, to go through that stuff with people, and just watch how people work every day, and then build solutions to help them enjoy their job and do it better. Yeah.
So I think you're most well known in the MSP community for two things. One is like those visits, right? Coming to the MSPs and finding out what's going on. And then you were actually hosting the events for a while. You were kind of the MC, which was always entertaining.
Yeah.
What do you miss more?
I miss the visits, but I'm excited I get to do that now again. I just like sitting down and hearing people's stories, the journeys they've been on and what they went through. And like, recently I did a visit into California, visiting an MSP there. And my favorite part was them just driving us around and pointing out all the companies they provide support to.
Wow.
Like, oh, that business there, we got into there 10 years ago, and we're excited that we enabled technology in there, and they've been able to do these things. Oh, this business over here. And I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now, like that. I love that stuff, because it's people helping people.
Right.
Yeah. I was raised by a librarian. Like, when I got out of school, I had to go librarian, wait for my mom. And I used to just watch the librarians help people. And I think that kind of just instilled that in me to, like, yeah, I want to, whatever I can do, right? Like, when I see someone going through a challenge, like, what can I do to help make this better for you or easier for you? But those visits, I mean, I was raised on comedy as well. The same librarian mother, she would, we had a VCR when they first came out, the beta, and she would record Letterman and record Saturday Night Live, and I would watch this stuff. And I always loved comedy and acting. And so the stage stuff I do enjoy, because I'd get up there and be a showman, like, how can I get the crowd laughing? All right, let's crack a joke about software. Let's, I used to love being on stage and tell those stories, like, yeah, we always ask the customer if we can reboot that server, and like, and people would laugh, and it's like, because it's true, it's fun to tell those stories. And the stage stuff is fun because you could see people connect with that, and it takes them to a place where they're like, oh yeah, I remember that, that was fun, like to stand on stage and, hey, remember when we were all taking those NetWare courses and learning about the 7-layer OSI reference model? Please do not throw sausage pizza away. Like, and everyone's, oh yeah, because they're like, oh man, those were good times. And I do miss doing that, but I think the big thing are the visits. I love just connecting with people.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely. That's what you're known for. Like everybody's like, yeah, Craig came and it was, yeah, we learned this stuff, we had a
Yeah.
good time, and it was well worth the visit. So you make the transition over to Evergreen.
Yeah.
How's that been? You've been there for how long?
A little over a year. When I left ConnectWise, I truly thought that's it. Like I'm done. I'm gonna pull the Seinfeld move and go out while everyone's is doing good, and I'll just I'll figure out my next step. I thought, I bought a farm in PA. I'm like, I don't know, I'll do Christmas tree farming. I'll do something. I'll connect with nature, and a friend of mine sold his MSP to Evergreen, and I met him at IT Nation 2016. We had like that Step Brother movie moment where we met sitting on bean bags and started comparing notes on music. And then it was, did we just become best friends? And high-fived, and we were close ever since. And when I left ConnectWise, he said, hey, I sold my business to Evergreen. I think you'd be a great fit here. And what's funny is I said, no, I'm not doing private equity anymore, man. And no, they're different. I'm like, yeah, sure they are. Like, I don't believe it. And I met Ramsey, co-founder of Evergreen, M&A partner, and I thought, this is different. And it's scary, being 48 years old and thinking, man, I have a whole life of technology and solutions, and I think 28 years total there. And I thought, I'm going to change this into something else. But I think, again, it's been a lot of fun because I get an opportunity to reconnect with people and help them in their next part of that journey, right? And I hate to even say like I helped, because I don't even know if I did any of the work. Like I just showed people like, hey, here's what the systems could do for you. And then they went and did the things. I just showed them. And it's exciting to see, have seen so many businesses go from this, okay, I don't know, do I have a business here, to like, I do, I have a managed service business. And now that next step, like it's cool to be a part of that with everybody. And so, yeah, it's been a pretty successful year. We've gotten Evergreen down in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. We're operating in 5 countries. And, I wasn't really ever sure I could do it. And I've been able to bring 7 businesses into Evergreen, and it's been fun watching them go through that and say like, you know what, you guys really do deliver on what you say. Everything you said was going to happen, and that feels good. And I'd say too, what feels really, really good about what I'm doing is the whole thing. Like, I really dig in and say, okay, what is this business I'm in end to end? That was something I took away from ConnectWise. Like, I have to understand everything that's going on here. With private equity, you raise capital. Like, who's the capital coming from? We've got educational endowments and pension funds investing, and the funds that we operate in. And then we take those funds and we invest them in businesses, and we grow those businesses. And then, the people that invested, the educational endowments, the pension funds, they get those returns. It just feels good. It feels good that from beginning to end, it's just a great feeling being a part of that. And it's not, it's not making some rich person richer. It's helping educational systems improve. It's helping people get their pension funds and payments that they deserve from probably decades of work they've done. So the whole thing just feels great. Yeah. It feels good to, like, again, like we just said, Joe, I feel so lucky to have been a part of watching technology become a thing for enterprise business. Because I did work at Accenture before ConnectWise. And then to watch it transform small business, to watching companies become managed service providers, to be a part of the SaaS movement. I thought, that's it. That's never going to happen again. Like, I had my time. I'm grateful. And then now to be a part of this next movement of, entrepreneurial journeys and people selling and leaving their legacy. I just like, I can't believe I'm getting to do this again. It feels good. And I just try, to just emphasize to people the importance of that, right? Like, this isn't a transaction. This is what we're doing here. Like, you know, we only have so much time on earth in the grand scheme of things. Let's do as much good as we can. And that's why I love it. Like I was just telling someone, the business we're in, it's great that we get to know each other, and it's not this transactional, faceless thing. It's people with people. Yeah, love it.
What are some misconceptions that MSPs have about PE?
Yeah. There are stereotypes, right?
Yes.
With everything. Like, I think as human beings, we're wired to look for patterns. It's a defense mechanism, and people have definitely created patterns that they believe PE to be, right? They think, PE is about the money. It's about, all right, we're going to come in, make an investment.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you what to do. We're going to do everything we can to just increase the bottom line so that we can then flip this investment. And there is some PE like that, so I get it, right? But it's not all like that. And Evergreen's not the only one that's not like that. I tell anybody looking to sell their business, look what is important to you, what you want that next stage in the journey to be like, because there are people out there that want to go through that big transaction. They want to experience what it's like to sell their business and it become a part of a bigger thing, and go through the exercise of finding cost reductions and building more value. Like, that is for some people. But I do find that for more people, it's about, I want to turn this business over so that it's preserved, and there's more legacy there. And at Evergreen, when we acquire a business, we empower that business leader. We have nearly 85 MSPs. We have 20 other businesses. We operate in different vertical markets. But in those MSPs, if we have 85 MSPs, we have 85 CEOs, we have 85 service managers, we have 85, sales leaders, and we fully empower them. They keep running the business, making their own decisions. As long as they're hitting targets, great, keep going. If they start missing targets, they have the Lyra Technology Group. There's a team of operators that collaborate. That's the importance of this too, because I have PE experience where it's more of a, we need you to do this. And our approach is more, let's work together to figure out how we're going to get things back on track. Let's look at pricing strategies. Let's look at sales and marketing techniques. Let's look at solutions we're offering. Let's talk about maybe renegotiating some things with vendors that we work with. Let's look at talent we can bring in. It's a very collaborative approach, which I love. Again, breaking the stereotype of PE, we're people first culture. I think PE gets a bad rap that it's not. It's about money. And look, at the end of the day, yes, it is we have the world works on money, and we need that. People want their returns. But we think about people first, because at Evergreen, we hold companies forever. We never sell them. That gives us the ability to think more long-term, not the short-term. So with the long-term thinking, we can make smaller adjustments, but maybe more adjustments so that it pays off. Where I think, when people think of PE, it's more short-term decision, because, we're going to turn this business in 5-7 years. Yeah, it is a little different where we're at because of that more long-term thinking.
Evergreen doesn't get the real credit it deserves for really being the first to enter the MSP community, right? When Ramsey came in, I don't know, 10 years ago, when I first started talking to him, I was like, what are you doing? Is this really a thing?
Yeah.
And then acquisitions happened, and now you have more buyers than sellers. I was talking to Sydney last night, and it's Evergreen doesn't get the credit. It was really the first to come into our industry, I believe.
Yeah, it was. I saw Ramsey and Jeff Totten walking around an IT Nation event in 2017. And I meet a lot of people, and I swore I heard him saying something about, yeah, we're going to acquire hundreds of companies. We're going to do this many a quarter. And having gone through M&A and the SaaS side, I'm like, this guy's crazy. There's no way. But it's staying decentralized that makes it possible. We're not spending a lot of effort merging companies together. We're spending our effort growing the businesses we buy. You know, when you look at a model that's about rolling up and merging, you put a lot of effort in merging systems, merging processes, updating clients with the changes, keeping talent aligned. When you put a lot of effort in getting that right, unfortunately, in most cases, not all cases, the byproduct of that is slower growth, right? Because you're not as focused on bringing new customers. So with Evergreen, but yeah, it was, they were the first. And I'm not saying there was no PE happening. Like, I'm, again, very fortunate being in the IT Nation, and Arnie letting me on stage 10 years ago exposed me to a lot of things. And you watched private equity come in to the MSP market at first and treat it like SaaS. All right, we're going to buy these businesses. We're going to find synergies. We're going to reduce cost. They move the owner out. They move the leadership team out. They let talent go. And then there was this, wait, what happened to these investments? And that wave kind of died. And then the second wave of roll-ups, which is a wave that's still going, and it works. All right, we're going to take some MSPs. We're going to merge them together, and we'll make a bigger MSP out of it. That works too. And Evergreen was the first I saw that said decentralized model, right? Keep everything independent. And that like really throws a wrench in people's gears of thinking, wait, there's no way, like, you're duplicating effort everywhere. No, this isn't, no. But it's the long-term approach. It's the hold forever that makes that possible. We're performing incredibly. You know, again, just grateful to be here. I see what's happening, and I'm like, wow, I made the right choice. You know, I've had a lot of failures. I tell people, like, you have to fail to really learn. But in this case, you know, it feels great to, like, wow, this is the right choice. I picked the right place to be. Happy to answer any of the questions on that too, Joe.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that, what does Arlen Sorensen say? You're either gonna, exit your MSP, vertically or horizontally. So is it ever too early to start talking about it?
No, that's been the thing that's most surprising to me is, my friend that sold his business to Evergreen was 42. And I'm like, wait, he's like, no, for me and my business partner, it's important for us to take some chips off the table here, reduce some risk in our lives. There's a psychological thing I see happens with people. Even when they sell and they continue to run the business, something happens where there's a lot less weight on them.
Payroll.
Right. They know that, like, well, if something goes wrong, someone's got my back here. That's just invested in this as I am. So I think there's people of all ages thinking that. Yes, there's the natural, when someone gets into their 50s and in their 60s, it's like, I mean, we're all human. Our bodies, like, I have to start wearing glasses now. Like, it's, it happens, and that people start thinking then, but it's all ages, and people need to look at what's important to them. I always say, hey, what's your personal wealth target you need to hit? Is it possible? Do you want to stay on? Do you want to keep working? Like at Evergreen, we find, 1 in 5 are planning on staying on, and they have the energy. They want to keep going. 2 in 5 say, I'm done the day I sell it, I'm out. And then the other 2, I want to stay on through a transition. I want to make sure that everything is okay here. So there's like those 3 scenarios that happen. But I don't think age is as big of a factor as a lot of people think. It's really what people are going through personally. Like Keith Bartold of DKB Innovative, we acquired his business. He's in his early 40s. For him, it was, I sacrificed a lot of time with my children building this business. And it's at a point now where I can get a good financial reward and get back time with my kids. And it's great watching me on Facebook. He's in Colorado with his kids, riding side by sides, doing dirt bikes, taking his son up in his airplane. And, he's working on that. That's what's important to him. So I think it's different for everyone. This is something I've really been deep in my head about. I mentioned earlier, path to success. So at ConnectWise, we had this, you're on the path to success, and people would say all the time, what's success? And the first answer people would say is money. It's wealth, it's money. And I actually don't think that's true. For the great people in this whole community building businesses, yeah, they do realize once they have the money, it's like, wait a minute, it wasn't the money. I got to get back to what's really success here, right? Like for me, success is raising 3 great boys that go on and become great people, have chase their dreams, right? Success to me is the friends I've made along this journey in this industry, watching them hit their dreams and goals of also getting back to their families or going on to whatever that next thing there is that they look to do. I think a lot of people need to think about that. Like, what is truly success? I read a great book. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And there's a whole chapter in there about, so many people chase the financial goal, and then when they hit it, they're left with a midlife crisis because they're like, wait, that didn't make me feel like I thought it was going to make me feel. Now I got a whole new series of problems here. And I think it's just a good time to always work on that. Something I also have learned from Arlen Sorensen through life planning is making sure you're setting the right goals for yourself.
So Craig, I started my MSP back in the 90s.
Yeah.
We're similar age. And
Yeah.
I was working way too hard. I don't know if you had this period in your life, but I wasn't exercising, wasn't eating properly.
Yeah.
I got myself up to 340 pounds. The doctor said to me, if I don't lose the weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born.
Yeah.
So I spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 130 pounds, kept it off. Can't look at it as a finishing line. You
Yeah.
kind of change anything you do. So people want a quick answer. What's your secret? There's no freaking secret, Craig.
Yeah.
Discipline. That's
Yeah.
my secret. I got, a routine. I got
Yeah.
willpower. I got order. That's how I did it. I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Craig.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I've been pretty vocal about, I slipped into depression. I battled it really hard after COVID, because before COVID, I had this whole, my value statement in life is coming into the office, leading teams of people, being in front of them and watching them check off their, I did this, I did that. And COVID disrupted that whole thing. And I struggled constantly with, what am I doing? Like, what is my purpose here? And it's hard. Like, when your brain starts going down that path in that dark place, like, so, I really struggled towards the end of my time at ConnectWise, and, Jason McGee was great working with, and he was open to listening to me talk about this. And, came to the conclusion that it wasn't ConnectWise, but I thought I just need a change of environment. And I think it's time I take some time off. And Jason was great to work with. And
It's great.
For me, you're saying the discipline, for me to work my way back out of that was, I have to find value in what I'm doing and feel good about myself, find happiness with myself, not happiness in other things. And I was methodical about it, because that's how I am. I'm very pragmatic. It's okay. I'm going to wake up today. I'm going to make a checklist of what I want to get done today. And it felt so good every day checking something off. And I restored a car. That's what I did. I said, okay, I'm going to take this car apart. And I stripped it down to the frame, had the frame sandblasted. I welded pieces back together, cut the floor off, did that. And I was just making lists every day. Today, I'm going to make the door panels. Today, I'm going to put the windshield in. Today, I'm going to put the engine back together. And going through that day after day after day, I felt myself building back into this sense of, like, I have some kind of purpose now. And then working that through with my kids and my wife, and reconnecting there, and like focusing on me and them. And then I felt like, man, this feels good. I'm ready for the next thing. And luckily, Ramsey fell right on my head, and we got to know each other. And it's a daily battle. Like I'm sure Wade is, right? We go to all these conferences, there's food everywhere. It's so hard to just, I'm not going to do it. it gets hard, traveling airports, dealing with
Yes.
people, dealing with delays, losing baggage, doing this, checking in hotels, having noise. It's like, it's so easy to slip back into that. You got to discipline, like, okay, hold on. Today I'm just going to get these things done, check them off at the end of the day, feel good. I encourage anybody, if you're having those thoughts, just talk to someone, talk to me, reach out to me. If we don't even know each other, I'd love to get to know people. That's a bad place to be. Again, we're only here for an instant in the grand scheme of things. There's no point in going through that unhappy. If people would always say, man, Craig, when you're on stage, you're always smiling and laughing. And it's like, yeah, because it's like, this is crazy, like I try not to take things too serious. And like, we're up here making software, man. This is fun. Let's have fun. Let's have fun doing this. For me, success is people saying, yeah, Craig was the guy that got things done, but had fun doing it, right? That's what I want. I don't want millions of dollars. I want people to say that,
That's a great place to leave off. Craig Fulton, thank you so much for your time, brother. I
All
always
right.
appreciate your energy,
Yeah.
your enthusiasm, and keep up the great work.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.